Alright, it's been a while since the next random in person. Do an Ocarina of Time thing. Let's write the script for it. Oops.
Random person. And you're listening to Random in Person.
Sup peeps, Random Person here, and you're watching Random in Person, where a random person, which is somebody, gives his random thoughts about the random things he thinks about in Zelda. Randomly. Finally, I have it. I have Hyrule Historia. Da 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 da! Yeah, you know the joke. I finally got it, people! Yeah, I know, I'm all late and stuff, but all of us ain't got money to get every single Zelda thing when it comes out. I mean, I realize it's been a while, and I have been spending money on less important things like, video games and, candy, and, this headset's new. So yeah, Hyrule Historia. This book came out in 2011, right before Skyward Sword did. And when it did, it gave us a solid timeline into the Zelda series. Now, I didn't have time to read all of Hyrule Historia, but I did sit down and read the timeline part because that's the part that really matters. Come on, we all know this, right? So, being the random person that I am, I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, and some third thing. There's supposed to be a third thing so that you don't sound stupid, but I ain't got one. The good! This book alone, if you read it just by itself, it does make the Zelda series seem legit. It does make it seem like Nintendo's actually treating our series like a series, unlike they were before, where they were treating it like just a bunch of games that were put together. Sadly, I have played the games, so the retconning that happens throughout the book, it's pretty clear when it happens. The good! I can finally understand what people are talking about when they quote this book. Oftentimes I've had arguments with different people about different theories in Zelda, and they would quote this book, and I wouldn't know what they were talking about. I had never seen that quote before in my life. How dare you bring some random quote into a very mature conversation about a series that hasn't been fully founded? I hit my mic, didn't I? Some things still aren't explained. This is supposed to be our encyclopedia of Zelda. And yet it's still not giving us certain answers. For example, the purpose behind Twilight Princess's city in the sky. The book literally says it doesn't know. In Twilight Princess, we saw the city of the sky, and we knew that Skyward Sword was coming up next, and we knew that that was going to take place in the sky. But Skyloft was completely different from the city in the sky, so we start wondering, what in the wig was the point of that city in the sky? And the book's like, I have all the answers, but I don't know that. Good. In reading the book, the canon story, well, the now canon story, is actually extremely enjoyable. The story is a very interesting read about a land that is not our world. Some things still just don't add up. I mean, the constant movement of the temples in correlation to the Castle Town. Castle Town itself isn't correlated with the land a lot. I mean, Death Mountain, it's pretty much hard to move a mountain, and yet it constantly moves to different locations in regards to Castletown. Is Castletown being moved? If so, are the temples correlated to Castletown also being moved at the same time? These things aren't adding up. The good. I noticed some things I never noticed before, just because it was written down right there. Mallow and Tallow, their names are one letter away from Milan and Talon.
Only an idiot wouldn't notice that.
I'm an idiot. The bad. Some things just made me go, what? Zelda the First being the reason why just about every princess is named Zelda. What? Okay, that sounds okay, right, if you haven't read Hyrule Historia. But the thing about it is, Zelda the First was the Zelda from Link's Adventure. If you know the timeline, you know that Link's Adventure takes place last on the defeated timeline. So Zelda the First, the last Zelda in the defeated timeline, is the reason why every princess is named Zelda. The book even says, hey, other princesses were named Zelda before this Zelda, but this is the Zelda that established the tradition. She was the last Zelda! How did she establish the tradition? And the thing about it is, that's not even too much retcon. I remember that story being told to me, and I remember that story being the reason why every Zelda is named Zelda. It's just that Hyrule Historia decided to put it last in the timeline, and it's not necessarily that it doesn't make sense. The book tries to cover it up by saying, some princesses were named Zelda in the past, but it was Zelda the First that established the tradition. Every princess was named Zelda! Don't try that! No, that doesn't work! I'll say some princess. Every princess before now was named Zelda. Every princess was named Zelda before this Zelda, but she established the tradition, but she's the last Zelda in the defeated timeline? Those aren't coherent. Give me some coherency, please. And a side of fries and some chocolate ice cream. Good. It does solidify some concepts that we as Zelda fans weren't really grounded on. For example, they established that Hyrule is not an entire planet. It's a place. Some places are different dimensions. Some places are different countries of this planet. Hyrule itself, it's just one of those countries, one of those lands. All in all, when I heard the effect Hyrule Historia had on the Zelda series, I was mad. Now, 2.5 years later, I'm not. Don't get me wrong, I still think they could have done a much better job at connecting the games had they simply had somebody who cared about the lore of Zelda. But at least now, we have a connection. We have a canon story. From here on out, Nintendo literally has no excuse. They've established that the games are connected. If they continue to make games that do not correlate with the history of other games, there's no way we can even defend them. We can't say the games aren't connected because Nintendo clearly said they were. We can't say they plan on connecting them because they already have. So, Nintendo, yeah. But, yeah, that's it, I guess. Thank you guys for joining me on Random in Person. If you guys could click the like, that would help me out. If you could click the subscribe, that would help me out even more. Help spread the word. Over here, if you enjoyed my voice, my voluptuous, soothing voice, you can click on this video up here or this video down here. I'm pretty sure they are related to me in some way. If not, then I should probably stop getting random people's videos and putting them on mine. Oh, I'm still here. Well, that was random. And I'm out. Next time, we will be talking about Ocarina of Time. Is it worth the hype it gets? Who knows? Oh wait, I do. But in the next episode.